Okay, and so here comes numbers 17 to 20. So let's go ahead and do 17 to 20, starting with 17. So they're asking you to find secant theta. They're giving you a right triangle. They're telling you that this side is 7, this is 10, so by default this has to be the square root of 149. Reason I know that is if I were to square both sides of this triangle to use Pythagorean theorem, I would have 10 squared plus 7 squared equals hypotenuse squared. And so 100 plus the 49, which is going to equal 149, which means the hypotenuse squared is 149. The hypotenuse itself is the square root of 149. Now, they want secant theta, so remember secant, it's inverse of cosine. So in essence, if I know cosine of theta, I know that it's going to be this value over the hypotenuse. So if I know that secant theta is equal to 1 over cosine. In this case, 1 over 7 over square root of 149. And so keep change flip, I end up with square root of 149 over 7 as my final answer for secant theta. This would be answer choice B. For number 18, they're asking you to find cosecant theta, which we know by default is 1 over sine theta. And they're giving us another right triangle where theta is sitting here. This is 10, this is 3. And if I were to again square both sides, so 10 squared plus 3 squared, that gives me 109, right? Because 100 plus 9 totals 109. And so my hypotenuse is going to be equal to the square root of 109. Okay, so here you are, square root of 109. So if I do sine of theta, soch, opposite over hypotenuse, I end up with 1 over 3 over square root of 109. And again, I'm looking for cosecant, so I'm going to keep change flip, and I end up with square root 109 over 3, which is answer choice C. Okay, number 19. Number 19, you have the radio transmission tower is 140 feet tall. So we know the tower is 140 feet in its entirety. And how long should a guy wire be? And a guy wire is basically the length of the hypotenuse. If it is to be attached 8 feet from the top and is to make an angle of 25 degrees. So I'm thinking that this is now actually connected here with 8 foot above this connection point, and this total is going to be 140, so the rest of this remaining is going to be 132. So this is all 132 from here down. If this is 25 degrees, this being the guy wire, this is what we're looking for. Alright, so I'm thinking that if I do basically sine, so soch, so sine of 25 degrees, be in degree mode by the way, make sure you're in degree mode. So sine 25 is equal to, in this case, 132 over the guy wire. And we know we need to swap these, right, to solve. So x is actually equal to, x being the guy wire, is equal to 132 over sine of 25 degrees, which is going to give us answer choice B. It should be 312 point some decimals. Now, I had a student ask me, or a couple of students asked me this question just earlier today, and I immediately gravitated to 312, and I'll explain why. And it was as simple as a thought process as this. If this is 90 degrees, we know that these two angles have to give us approximately, well, they have to give us 90 degrees to be 180 total. So this is 65. And I'm thinking in terms of ratio, it's almost a 1 to 3 ratio. You know, like you look at a dollar and this is close to 75, this is 25, kind of like ratio thought. And I'm also thinking that even if I were to look at it at 140, forget about all of the other gobbledygook they're talking about, and you took this and you looked at this from a perspective of a 3 to 1 ratio, you're going to get about 312, rounding it out mentally. If I took the exact 132 and I multiply by 3, let me see, I get 693. No, actually, that is impossible. Hang on. I don't know where my rationale immediately jumped to this, but I'm thinking 312. I don't know why. As opposed to the 331. I think I'm just thinking angle ratio. I think I also was under the impression that if this gave me 396, looking at it from 132, that the value had to be slightly larger, well, actually almost 3 times larger, but not 331. 331 seemed like a higher number. So I kind of did a ratio in my mind, and I thought, well, what would make sense in terms of that? But it's the same thing. I mean, all of trigonometry is nothing but ratio, so digress. But just in case your mind does do that, just, you're okay. It's normal. Anyway, number 20. So number 20 is kind of like a weird drawing. When you look at number 20, you're going to draw the distance from the lake at 130 over here, and this angle measure should be 50 degrees sitting here based on the question and the way it's worded. So with that said, I'm thinking I'm looking for tan of 50 is equal to that hypotenuse value over 130. And again, swap these out. Actually, multiply this over is what I did. I multiplied it and swap it. So I ended up with H is equal to tan 50 times 130. And this is based on what the question is wording. Again, another estimation, when you look at this, I estimated the 155 because of the ratio. If this, assuming this is 90 and this is 40, okay, so I have 40 is the 130 angle. This is a bigger angle. It wouldn't be 100, it wouldn't be 109, it would not be 84 because all of those values are less than, for this, are less than the 130. So my rationale is, ratio-wise, this has to be 155 based on just the answer choices given. However, when you do the math, this value will yield you approximately 155 because you obtain 154.92767 using a calculator. And so obviously you're rounding that to the same value. Okay? All right, hope that was helpful.